Why are geothermal systems not the standard heating and cooling system? Starting out, I thought, okay, that's an easy one. Fossil fuels are less expensive. But is that really the case? Grab a cup of coffee and let's talk about it. Fossil fuels can be quite volatile, so do we just perceive fossil fuels as less expensive? Does the inertia of our thinking or our infrastructure keep us from leveraging the economically most viable solution?
Why wasn't there a big breakout, and why weren't more people looking at geothermal, for the last 30 years?
I have quite a few hypotheses for why that is. I can't claim to say I know, but I would say a few things that held it back were, one, fossil fuels have been fairly inexpensive for a long time in this country.
Would the financial break-even always have provided an interesting business case for geothermal? We just didn't think that far ahead, or we didn't have the financial tools to leverage the financial benefits. So I looked at the stats and crunched the numbers, approaching it as a mathematical problem while trying to remain open to human biases. These are the energy stats of Sweden and the United States. Sweden to the left and the United States to the right. The US uses 32% more energy in kilograms of oil equivalent per capita. The oil production is 108 times higher than that of Sweden per capita. Oil consumption is 75% higher in the US compared to Sweden per capita. The gasoline price is twice as expensive in Sweden compared to the US per liter. So that's it? Gasoline is more expensive in Sweden compared to the US? If we consider the dependency of a commodity's price on economies of scale, what's the chicken and egg here? In today's heating and cooling systems, air quality and convenience play a role. But heating and cooling used to be considered a commodity, so the lowest cost wins. But in many cases, geothermal would have provided higher returns on investment over longer lifetimes. So why didn't homeowners, companies, and financial institutions capture those returns?
I think also the types of contractors that install HVAC systems in homes, it tends to be a patchwork of many thousands of small companies in every local place. Yep. And I think because of that, there was no natural, larger company with access to resources that could do R&D, for example.
That's a really interesting point. And I guess the supply chain itself maybe can be a constraint in terms of adoption.
It absolutely is.
Sweden is an example for a high adoption rate of geothermal. 20% of all single-family homes in Sweden have a geothermal heat pump system installed. This is where most people think, oh yeah, Sweden. It's because they have hot water underground, just like Iceland. But the geothermal gradient of Sweden and the US is almost identical. The geothermal gradient in Sweden reaches approximately 30 degrees centigrade per kilometer in the south, but seldom more than 15 degrees centigrade per kilometer within the Baltic Shield regions.
We have a good understanding of how to kind of measure how firms behave. And the other aspect is that, in the current system we have since the late 2007-8, we're part of the emissions trading system of the EU. And there, the control system is, you basically, to emit a ton of carbon dioxide, you need to buy an emission right or own an emission right. So there's a market that trades these things.
Sweden has the highest carbon tax rate in the world at $137 per metric ton of CO2 equivalent. The tax is primarily levied on fossil fuels for heating purposes and motor fuel. So why is the tax so high? And what's the full story here? A key distinction between Sweden and other countries is its combination of citizen engagement, high ambition level, and international solidarity. Sweden has frequently been ranked the most sustainable country in the world. As a result, air pollution is at 10.2 micrograms per cubic meter compared to the OECD average of 20.1. Swedish people are known for being modest, so they wouldn't brag about the clean air. But there are a few companies that utilize it. For instance, there's a company that sells fresh Swedish air. But citizen engagement, high ambitions, and solidarity are not the end of the story. Geothermal became popular in Sweden as a result of the oil crisis in the 1970s and 80s. Subsequently, there have been nationwide efforts to achieve independence from fossil fuel imports, and their acceptance has been growing ever since.
And when you got babies, you're gonna have to worry.
Did you ever think that this kind of thing would happen?
No way, no. Not really. There's no reason for it to be.
The end of an oil embargo in 1974 in response to the Yom Kippur War, oil prices had risen nearly 300% globally. The US hasn't rationed fuel in decades, so many Americans continue their dependence on oil, propane, and gas heating. Slowly but steadily, heating has become the largest after-tax expense for many American homeowners. Geothermal systems can cut your energy bills by 65%. The systems have been in use for a long time, and so they're very effective and reliable. There are some major differences between geothermal and other heating and cooling systems, one being that you transfer heat rather than burning fuel. This is crucial in saving energy, because this way you can achieve efficiency of up to more than 500%. And you don't even have to pay more upfront, because today there are financing options available that let you save money instantly. Geothermal systems can be financed for only $150 a month. That's why most customers actually opt to finance and start saving right away. To learn more about geothermal or other heating and cooling systems, check out my heating and cooling videos. If you're interested in technologies, their economic viability and climate impact, please subscribe. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.